3, 2, 1.
Everybody, this is AJ Capasso here from Talking with the Source. I'm here with my co-host and great friend
Jonathan Keyworth of JK47 Paranormal and Targeting with the JK on Tuesdays, noon Mountain Time.
There you go. You heard it first. Well, guys, today we have an amazing guest on. First, I want to give a shout out, like always, to an amazing company out here in Connecticut in the USA. It is called 203 Detailing. It's a good friend of mine's son, Michael. He does a great job. He does detailing and paint corrections. So hit him up at 203-707-7077 for a detail or a paint correction in your car. He does an amazing job, and he is a great kid. I'm super proud of this kid, so that's why I shot him out. How are you, Sun Dragon? How are you? Thank you so much for joining us. But today we have an amazing guest. He has a podcast called The Cemetery Files out right now. It's on all platforms. He is a medium, and he is also a paranormal researcher like us. His name is Jay Hill. Let me bring him forward.
Hey.
What's going on, Jay? How are you?
What's up, Jay?
All right. Hey.
Great. So, Jay, like I ask everybody as I start is, how did you get into the paranormal, my friend? Like, what got you into it? Did you start as a kid, or just something that happened?
I grew up with it.
Okay.
Yeah, I grew up with it ever since I can remember. I mean, it was probably back down when I was, 5 or 6, but I had my first true paranormal experience when I was 16. Yeah, so that's when I saw my first full body apparition. Yeah. So
What was that like? Where was that at?
it was actually the town that I live in Lake Geneva. I'm about 10 miles south of that right now. I used to live downtown at this old big old house that actually is now a restaurant.
Wow.
It has really good food. But yeah, I moved from Colorado actually to back to Lake Geneva where I was born, and the first 6 months I was there, me and my sister were experiencing some major issues and doors locking and just noises, thumps, and dogs freaking out. And yeah, it was just a weird vibe. And then one night, she was standing at the foot of my bed, and it was kind of funny because I was kind of mad because she woke me up.
Yeah.
Oh,
I sat up like, what? And so yeah, it was really kind of weird. And that's kind of when I had something really weird happen. Was right when that happened, I didn't know what she wanted, but when I rolled back over to sleep, you ever see those old, I don't know, it's kind of like, it's a weird like glitch in the TV. And it was kind of like when I rolled over and closed my eyes, it was kind of this glitch. And then all of a sudden I'm standing in front of my grandfather, who I never met.
Wow.
I'm standing in front of my grandfather and on the farm, and my dad's dad, and he was talking to me about my dad at that time. And my dad had actually had cancer, and he was pretty sick, and he had pancreatic cancer. So he was telling me, he was like, I need, he loves all you kids, and, just be there for him, and, help him out. And, and it was just weird why I would even have that dream or that vision, so to speak. But I do believe that I was talking with him. And that's when I kind of realized that I was like, I think there's something to that. And so I went downstairs in the morning. I was telling my mom about the spirit that was at the end of my bed. And I was also talking to her about the dream, and I described the dream, and she showed me a picture because I described him, and I've never seen a picture of him because he died like 8 years before I was born.
Yeah.
Or 6 years. And so she told me to say to never tell my dad that dream. And I was like, okay, I won't, you know, 'cause
Yeah.
so my sister had come down after that, right after me, and said, "You'll never guess what happened." And the lady went and visited my sister too at the foot of her bed.
Oh, jeez.
Wow.
Yeah, so we knew that there was something there, and it was it was cool. You know, I mean, I was okay with it.
You know, it's so crazy that you brought up her standing at the foot of your bed like that lady, because when I had my apparition experience at my house and then in front of my family, she appeared as well. My first experience with my apparition was at the foot of my bed at nighttime when I was sleeping with my girlfriend. It happened twice. One time she opened the door and shut it. The second time, which I thought was my girlfriend, and I rolled into my girlfriend thinking that I was going to steal her spot when she went to the bathroom,
Mhm.
but I know it wasn't her going to the bathroom. Um, then the second time I saw her standing at the end of the bed, when it was like she was wearing a long white T-shirt, but it was soaked, and this girl just had dark like hair right in front of her face, and I felt this like aggressive energy, but it wasn't towards me. The
Mhm.
whole room was electrified, but I felt the anger towards my girlfriend for some reason, and I never understood why until I met with a medium like years ago, and they finally told me the reason. I believe the reason was because we weren't supposed to be together. We were actually in an active addiction at the time, and we were dragging each other down.
Right, right,
It
right.
wasn't a good situation. So I think this spirit was there to like help me, like, and say, "Hey, listen, you know, you need to get away from this person because you're getting dragged down. She's getting dragged down." And I think that was the reason why I saw her. And then 2 weeks later, she appeared again, with this time in front of my whole family in the dining room, and it was just remarkable. I mean, the room was
Wow.
electrified. It was, I mean, everybody just stopped. I mean, it was like we were all shook. I mean, she
Mhm.
was there solidly like me and you are. And it
Mhm.
same kind of solid that this person was in my room. But the way the air felt, Jay, was so electrified. It's so hard to like even describe to you. Like it's different than feeling the cold when it shifts in a room. It's so much.
Right, right.
I don't know if you've ever had an experience or visitation like that, but have you ever had
I've had several different experiments or you know, those things
experiences?
yeah, those things that have happened to me in that way.
Yeah.
I can walk into a room, you know, when I was younger, and where you feel kind of beside yourself.
Mm.
It's kind of like like something shifts,
Yep.
and that's the way I felt. I felt like I was being shifted, and it was just weird vibes and weird everything. And that's, you know, I kind of go back to say that that was kind of where I was wondering where this was heading, and I got to the point where, yeah, I have some type of gifts, but I wasn't ready to explore it because, as you know, talked about this, you know, that I've had my own bouts with addictions and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
so I was more running away from who I was in that
Yeah.
sense. And then once it came down to me having my stroke, you know, what, 10 years, 13 years ago,
Yeah.
I was, that was it. You know, that was like, okay, all of it, the buck stops here. This is, you know, what's going to transpire. And then my gifts kind of flourished after that. And then,
Wow.
you know, I started just, you know, kind of taking better care of myself, and you know, got away from all of the bad things of the addiction was causing me, and alcohol and all that stuff. So
Definitely.
sucks that you have to, you know, live on life's terms and deal with life on life's terms, but it is what it is,
Unfortunately,
you
yeah.
know. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
So
definitely. Definitely. We all have to go through things, and we all have to learn. And like, as you know, Jay, as everyone knows, I've struggled with addiction myself for a very long time. And, it's something that we all just, it's something that we go through in life that sucks, that hopefully we make it out of. And, both of us were very lucky that we did.
yeah.
Um, and there's a lot of people that don't, and it's very unfortunate. And I hope that that changes. I really do. I hope that the world can see it differently, you know?
Hmm.
But one
Hmm.
thing I wanted to ask you was, did you have any other visitations growing up, like with other family members or any other people?
Um, yes, actually, right, probably 5, 6 years ago, um, I went to see my grandmother's grave where it was right where my mom's buried, and because where I live, like a third of my relatives are buried in one cemetery, you know,
Mm,
and so it's a very old cemetery, and I go to visit my mom and my dad sometimes, and then walk 2 feet to the left and my grandparents were there,
Mm.
So I was doing the normal chit chat and this and that. And then I went home that night, and it's when, things were I was kind of there at the cemetery because I knew that things were changing in me spiritually and mentally. And I knew that how do I get, where I need to go.
Yeah.
And so when I got home, everything was normal. And then I went to sleep that night, and I don't know if I was asleep or awake. I think I was awake because I was you're in between those sleep moments, when
Yeah.
you're just
Yep.
about asleep and then you're kind of awake. About in the entryway to my room, about 5 feet off the ground, was my grandmother,
Wow.
and she was hovering over there, and she had a like a white light off to the side that was illuminating her, and I knew that's who it was,
Wow.
and I knew that was something that I had to see. So after that, things kind of changed a little bit more. And then once I had talked to another medium, it was early on, and I was trying to figure out who my guides were and their names and this and that. And the one says, "You know the name?" And I
Yeah.
said, "I do." And she said, my grandmother's name is Gladys. And she says, "Well, you already know Gladys." And I'm like, "That's my grandmother. It's my mom's mom."
Oh wow.
Wow.
So she had came to visit me early on when I was just letting my gifts flourish. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So yeah. So, and then after that, then, and then my mom chimes in every once in a while. She's usually in the back, but every once in a while I'll get an earful,
Yeah.
So,
Now, how do you hear, see, feel them? Like, how does it work for you?
it's more or less just a more of a thought, because of the fact that mostly guides will basically kind of let you do your own, make your own choices and do your own stuff and all that. I mean, they can't physically say you have to do this or you have to do that. It's your choice. You make those decisions for yourself. They can guide you, and that's why they're guides.
Yeah.
They can say, well, we suggest maybe try this or maybe try that. You know what I mean? So it's always been, and I do the same thing when I do readings for people. I don't say you have to do this or you need to do this or whatever. I will kind of say, it's up to you, but this is what I see and this is what I hear. You know what I mean?
Mm.
I don't try to direct people directly that way because that's not my job to do that. I'm just the messenger.
Yeah.
So, so I basically, I hear them, sometimes audibly, but mostly it's just a thought in my head, or every once in a while I hear my name called or something like that. But I've always had that.
Yeah.
Or I will think about somebody or something in particular that I need to pay attention to, and that's kind of how they give me visual imagery, where
Mhm.
they'll be like, "Hey," they won't necessarily say anything, but they'll throw a picture in my face and be like, and where I haven't thought about it before, and be like, why am I seeing this? And then I'll know it's a feeling more or less that I know that I need to log that into my brain and put it in the back and just hang on to it, which has usually always comes out to play when I had that happen with a pink elephant once. I
Wow.
don't know why this stuffed pink elephant kept coming to me and coming to me. I'm like, okay, I get it. 2 weeks later, I was doing a ghost tour walk with a lady in Lake Geneva where I'm at, and I was doing readings after the walk and the ghost tour walk, and the pink elephant came up. And this friend of mine and her son, he was like 10, 12 years old. He said, "Do you have a message for me?" And I'm like, I've never given a message to a child. I
Yeah.
mean, I was always adult, and I'm like, this is different. And then all of a sudden, the pink elephant came to my head, and I was like, oh. And then I started asking him about the pink elephant, and he looked at his mom like, oh my god, And I'm like, and then his grandmother came through, and then I was like, okay. Well, come to find out that she'd given the gift to somebody, one of the other siblings, but he took it because of, or I think he took it because of the fact that it really meant something to him, and she wanted to kind of let him know that it's okay to have it, you know. And I give it to you, and I give it to, I think his sister, I think, but he fell in love with it, and she was like, I'm okay with that, and that was basically the message,
That is
you know.
awesome.
Yeah,
That's
so
cool, man.
that was weird. I mean, that was really kind of odd. But then after that, I did like 3 or 4, you know, readings, but not that spirits came through, because I can switch gears like that, where it's 1 minute it's, you know, I'm reading for somebody and a loved one's come through, to the next person saying it's just a psychic reading and saying, okay, this is what you need to look forward to. This is what you got coming up, you
Yeah.
know. And then
Yes.
I kind of can read that person, and I'll ask them questions like, do you do this? And like, oh yeah, I do. I'm like, okay, you should probably stop doing that, you
Yeah.
know, and you know,
Yeah.
maybe focus on something that's going to be positive for you. So I'm kind of like more or less kind of like a spiritual guide. You know what I mean? Like when I give somebody advice and I try to help them, because that's the bottom line. That's what I'm doing. I'm trying to help somebody, or I'm trying to help guide somebody, because if they're in distress or some type of, you know, something's happened to them, or they lost a loved one or something, I'm trying to help them with the transcend into something more positive, you know. So
Absolutely.
that's the way I look at it, you know. So
Yeah. No, definitely. Go ahead, John.
So like my first apparition I saw was at my very first investigation, very first one. I did all my investigations on my own. I was at the house in Michigan, and it was the second night, and I was just walking around the house late at night, just getting some readings and stuff. And as I was heading back to the room, I looked to the left, and that was the room where her mom passed, and I saw a lady in a dress with her arms crossed looking out the window, and like the moonlight was lighting her up. She was all twinkly, and I said nope, and I turned right to my bed, and I went right to bed. I put my headphones on. I'm like, no way, man. I was like, that's crazy. But I mean, that was my first investigation, so I helped them out, and I was able to get everything good. So it really built, you know, that spirituality up in me and my confidence. And, you know, did you ever have that one investigation where you saw something or something happened where you're like, oh my gosh, like what's going
um yeah, but this wasn't an investigation. It was something that when I was growing up, I was still in my 20s, and I was going to move in. At that time I was divorced, and I was I was dating a girl, and we were moving into an apartment together, and this was the only red house on the block. It was really weird. And it was so old. This place was so old. It had the old for the doorbell was in the middle, and you had to turn it like a chime to
Oh
Oh,
get it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like back in the 50s, 40s,
Yeah.
50s. Yeah.
Yeah. So I basically I did kind of a walk through this place. The lady that was renting the upstairs apartment said, "Yeah, you can just go in. It's unlocked." And at that time, my girlfriend wasn't there at that time. She was still at work. So I thought, well, I'll just walk up here and I'll, you know, go walk through and this and that. As soon as I got to the top of the stairs, the vibe changed, and I was kind of like, okay. And I thought, it's just an old house, and
Yeah. Yeah.
you know,
yeah.
so I'm walking through the different rooms. The one room on the left was really kind of eerie. I was like, oh, okay, guest room, whatever. Walked in the bathroom. It's really small. Okay. And the kitchen's right there. And then the living room. And then they had the bedroom in the back.
Yeah.
Well, um, as soon as I walked into the bedroom in the back, I got flashes of a little girl hiding in her nightgown in the closet, afraid.
Wow.
And then I got anger, and I got not that I was experiencing it, but I kind of sensed
Yeah.
the anger and the violence and the hatred and all that stuff boiled up in one. I also saw blood on the wall, but I wasn't sure what it was. So I thought, and it was really wild. And so I walked out, and I didn't really think anything of it. And then I wanted my sister, who was about 50 miles away, to come visit and do a walkthrough like me,
Mm.
but she couldn't make it. So we decided to take the place. We took the place, and there was one moment where I was in the shower, and I was expecting my girlfriend to come home, and the bathroom door is like right next to the shower. So the bathroom door opened, and I saw somebody through the glass, come through, and I thought, oh,
Yeah.
I thought it was my girlfriend, so I'm talking to her, and da da da. How was your day? Da da. I got nothing. I'm like, what is the deal? Why is she ignoring me?
Mm.
And so I get down, I dry off, and I come out of the bathroom because the door was closed,
No.
and then I came back. I came out of the bathroom, the shower and bathroom, and I'm like, okay. And then all of a sudden, my girlfriend at that time came through the door up the stairs, and I'm like, were you just in the bathroom? I said, I was trying to talk to you. She's like, I just got home from work.
Mm.
Oh,
I'm like, oh, okay. So that place was that was probably was one of those moments where you're like, holy crap,
yeah, right.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I mean, I saw the silhouette through the the shaded glass, and I
Oh,
saw
wow.
the door open, and they walked all the way to the toilet, and then I thought they sat down, and I thought that they were listening, thought it was my girlfriend at that time, and she was not there, and I don't know who it was, but
Wow.
yeah. So
I would have
yeah,
been
so
freaked out too.
I
Would have been freaking if she
I
jumped in
yeah,
with you and started getting
right.
your back.
Right. Well, I was freaked out a little bit, but I wasn't. It wasn't until I would sit in the living room and watch TV, and I knew that there was something in the closet behind me, but I knew that you could feel those eyes on you constantly, like you keep turning around, and so it was just really weird. But the guest bedroom, when me and the girl that I was with, we were breaking up, and so we switched bedroom. I got the guest bedroom, and that's a whole different story. But I'll tell you what, it involved the darkness, darkness or the dark side, Christ, growling, and being thrown off the bed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
so that is a story that I don't tell too often. I do when I do my speeches, I mention that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's one of those where it was a pivotal moment for me, in my life, and then things kind of changed after that, but I was still kind of running from who I was.
Yeah.
But when when somebody who has gifts, and they're actually kind of put in that position of a lot of paranormal activity, or a lot of negative activity or something like that, there's no way to avoid it. No matter how bad you're running from your gifts, or running or doing whatever you're doing, you're still going to be able to sense that.
Yep.
And it's like, yeah, you can drown it as much as you want to, but if
Hmm.
it's going to be there, it's going to be there.
Yep. That was something I had to learn. And
Hmm.
every time I had something happen, I was like, I wanted to shut it down. I didn't want to
Yep.
see it.
Yep.
I was like, I don't
Hmm.
want to be a part of this, because my whole belief was, growing up Catholic, growing up,
Yeah.
Christian, and my first belief is everything's a demon. So like
Right.
before I got into this, and before I had my near death experience, I never believed in this stuff. And then when I did have experiences, I was like, okay, this is a demon in my house or something,
Right.
or
Right.
it's definitely not my grandpa. So, but
Right.
I totally feel you on that. I totally feel you. And it's like when you're trying to drown it out with stuff, you think that it helps for that 15, 20 minutes that you're drowned out or you pass out. And
Right.
once you wake up, man,
Yeah.
that gift is right there with
It's
you.
right there. It's right. Yeah. Yeah. No matter
Yep.
how bad you want to make it stop or whatever, because you don't want to think about anything. You don't want to deal with anything. You just want to enjoy whatever feeling that you have
Yeah,
at that moment. I get it.
exactly. That
You
that
know.
peace, that peace
Right.
for
Right.
that
Right.
minute. Yeah.
My soul, my spirit still longs for that. It doesn't. I don't miss it. The only thing I miss about certain things is socialization, drinking.
Yeah.
Just being sociable and having a few drinks and hanging out.
Yeah.
I don't miss the whole getting totally in it to win it, and with anything. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? It's just Yeah, I have friends that do that for me. you know,
Yeah, right.
so
Yep.
you know,
Yep,
but
definitely. Now I want to ask you a question. Now, does our energy does our vibration and energy lower when we are in those states of mind?
yes,
Okay, so
yes,
we're easily able to be taken over more when we are in those states, do you
right.
believe?
Your inhibitions are low.
Okay.
Your guards are low. You're guarding it. You're guarding your all your protection is can be low. Not everybody. I'm
Mm,
just saying, certain people. Everybody is different. Everybody has their own path. Everybody is an individual, spiritually and physically. There is not one person that is the same on this planet. I don't care what anybody says. There is something that makes you unique.
yeah.
And
Oh, definitely. I
you
agree
know
with
what I
that.
mean? You
Yeah.
can have a doppelganger, you can have somebody that looks like you, but you're still a different person.
Oh, yes, definitely.
Okay. So, you know, having said that, frequency is I talk a lot about in my speeches, I talk a lot about frequency. I talk about we give off energy. We have a certain frequency. It changes all the time, different
Yeah.
ranges. You go to a haunted location, that also can emit its own energy or frequency,
Hmm.
the building itself, or the land. So when people say, well, I went to this haunted location and we got so much stuff, and then the next week the next team went in there and got nothing, and people like,
Mm,
well, they could say, well, I don't think it's haunted, that other people must be, blowing smoke. And it's not necessarily that somebody's blowing smoke or making things up. It's the fact that frequencies change to the point where if spirits are around, they're still around, but you just can't interact with them because there's not enough frequency or energy between that building or the people there. The people that go in there the second time who didn't catch anything, their frequencies could be totally off charts, different. You know what
yeah.
I mean? They could just be just not compatible. You have to realize that certain people who have that connection with the spirit world have already established that connection beforehand. You know what I mean? They were
Yeah.
born to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's other
Yeah.
people that are fascinated about it and then they experience some of this stuff, but they don't truly interact with it because of the fact that their frequency is not
Not the same.
viable. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's not,
Yeah. Yeah. It's
when
not.
you meet yeah, when you meet somebody, both of you guys, when you guys have met somebody and immediately, I want to be friends with that person because I just think that that person is really cool. They've got it, just
Yeah.
whatever. Okay, that is a frequency. That's a connector. Okay,
Yeah.
what I call a connector. Now you can meet. Yeah, I'm sure you both have met somebody and saying, yeah, you think, okay, this person's okay. Don't know much about him or her, but okay, yeah. And then you are around them a little bit more, and then it just repels you like a battery, like two
Yeah.
batteries. Switch the end, and they just
Yeah.
repel each other. It
Yeah.
that's it happens. So not you could say, oh, I'm friends with everybody. Well, I can guarantee that you're probably not friends with everybody.
No. No. Yeah.
Because there's certain times where it just doesn't always vibe. And
That's
you
why
got
you have acquaintances, and that's why
yeah,
you have real friends. Yeah. So
right,
I get
right,
it.
right.
I
It's
get it.
just
There's people that.
and it's just it is what it is. You just kind of, I have people I work with that I love a lot of the people that I work with, but some of
Yeah.
them I've only vibed part-time with. There's some that I can only take small doses of because it spiritually, it's like nails on a chalkboard.
See, people don't understand that that part is a spiritual part of it of life. Like that part of like what you just said, the
Mhm.
frequency of it, and the frequency of somebody that you can't handle at work. That
Mhm.
feeling, the reason why you can't handle them is actually a spiritual feeling, and I don't think a lot of people actually realize that. But Sun Dragon asks, frequencies can shift up and down, and when we connect, are we matching that spirit's frequency? So when we connect, are we matching the spirit's frequency when we connect with them?
Sometimes yes. I don't know for sure. I mean, positivity can help you raise your frequency so that you can be up, you know what I mean? Positive things, positive thinking, all that stuff. So there's a lot to positive thinking and positive speaking and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But with a spirit, I think that the spirits, and I really don't, I can't answer that completely because of the fact that I don't know for sure if the spirits on the other side, if there's another medium that can chime in and say, yeah, the frequency that the spirit has that is passed that you're trying to investigate or whatever, they may be able to change their frequency. I'm not sure if they can. If they can, then they can match it. Maybe they can match it to where we are at. But I think it's kind of like it's different. From what I'm being told, it's different. It's like trying to fit a European plug into an American plug.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep,
So
yep.
so maybe the frequency with the land, and like say when you walk into a building and the spirit is on it's on the other side that's standing in this old building,
Yeah.
vibing and have that vibing and having that frequency with the house or the ground, whatever. And when you come, maybe your frequency resonates with the ground or the house, and there's maybe that connection. You know what I mean? So, but direct connection,
Yeah.
I don't think that is how that works. I just think that it's more or less that, everything with the frequencies of the building, the timing, the weather, everything. There's so many different things that can go into that. That's why that people who go into haunted places don't always find the same thing they found the first 5 times they went.
Yeah.
There's going to
Yeah.
be some changes.
Yeah. And when I was going to people's houses, our psychic friend Sam, she told me, before you go into these homes, kneel on the ground outside and touch the ground,
Mhm.
to kind of zoom yourself in
Mhm.
with the energy of where
Yeah.
you're at, and to not to think about things that happened in the past, not to think about how great it's going to be tonight. Just live in the now, and
Mhm.
just focus on that, and just bring that energy into your investigation, and everything will fall into place. And she was
Right.
dead right, man.
Right.
I mean, we had the crazy night at the old Montana State Prison that we
Right.
went there, touched the ground, and we went into the investigation, and it was
Mhm.
just us two in there, and
Yeah,
it
really
was the best night ever, man.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Having that grounding grounding yourselves before you go into investigations is a big deal. Kneeling in front of like a building or a place like that, not only is an appreciative to the land itself. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
as we all know, that building has only been there a short time. But
Yeah.
whatever was there before, whatever ancestors or whoever have walked that path or could have stopped and made camp at that path, or I mean, it just there's so many different things with the land that can transcend to different things, especially buildings. You know what I mean? So yeah, so grounding yourself and basically making that connection, that's a great point to make, is that like when I said before, like when you come in and then you have that connection with the land or the building right away, and that maybe that spirit that is there is also tapped into that same line, you know
Yeah.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's just kind of, so then you had great results from your investigation. Now, have you done that all the time you investigate?
No, no. And I've noticed the difference. Like I've had crappy investigations where I got maybe one little noise or something,
Hmm.
and I was like, oh man, I forgot the ground.
That should be one of the things that everybody, now that you said it, and I'm glad, I mean, I didn't really think of it that way until you said it, but I've always said that, to be ground yourself first and, to protect yourself first. But the way you said it and described it is kind of like the missing piece that I wish I thought of it. That that is perfect. I mean, that's exactly, everybody should do that. You should write
Yeah, you
that
just get
down.
so excited. You're there. You're like, oh yes,
Right.
okay, good. Have a great time.
Right. You're so excited, and you forget.
Yeah.
It's kind of like there's protocol. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That you should follow.
Yeah.
And I think that is a really great idea. And if I were you, I keep looking at you thinking, okay, that's something that you should really do. Like, I don't know if you could put that on a post or put that in somewhere or someplace that people were going to see that and try that and do, and take like 5 people and say, okay, try this on your next 3 investigations, 3 or 5, and see, do 5, like you said, or 5 without, and see what you get. See what the
Yeah.
difference
No,
is.
exactly.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll
I
get
like
it tattooed right here so I don't forget anymore.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, I wanted to ask you, one of the things that spirit always talks about with me is manifestation.
Hmm.
Manifestation, law of attraction, stuff like that. Now, does our spirit give out a vibration and a frequency that will attract things into our or manifest into our reality?
Depending on, it depends on where you're at. Look at it like this. When you go to buy a car and you're looking for a car that you really want, and this and that, but what you really want is a Ferrari.
Mm.
Now, is that going to be practical for you at that time?
Yeah.
Probably not. You know
Yeah,
what I
probably.
mean? So
Yeah.
I think it depends on the timing, or yeah, they say that, there's certain people that say that you can manifest anything you want in your life. Da, 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 da. Yeah, okay. I'd like to think a little bit more. I take that with a grain of salt. I will just say, yeah, I will manifest the things that I need in my life.
About to say. Yeah.
You know what I
Spirit
mean?
gives you what you need, not what you want. Yeah.
Right, right, right. So, because a lot of people saying you can manifest anything you want, and it's like it's not what I want; it's what I need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you don't need a Ferrari; you
Yeah.
want one,
Yeah.
but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's about what you need at that time. I mean, that's the one thing that when people try to manifest things, the first thought that you should have is, "What do I need?" And then you weigh it against what you want. Does this fall into the category of want or need? You know
Mm.
what I mean? So once people start realizing that it's what I need, and it may not be what you want, but you just need to, kind of think of it in those terms, instead of, oh, I wish I would win the lottery, or all this, it just, yeah, don't.
Yeah. 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 Don't go
When
crazy.
somebody says, "Yeah, oh, I'm going to play the lottery and we're going to win the lottery," I'm like, I don't really play the lottery, because that's, to me, my best excuse is that's too easy. I
Yeah.
won't
Yeah.
learn anything from that.
Yeah.
I won't. I win the lottery. Yeah, that'd be great to have all that money to do all this stuff, but what do I really need that for?
Yeah. What do
Is
you
that
learn?
going to prevent me from continuing my work to help people and to do this, instead of making money the main ingredient in why I help people?
Mm.
I don't. That's why I
I
say,
get it.
yeah, that's too
I
easy.
get it.
You want to hear something crazy, dude? AJ can testify to this. So I think it was 2 years ago. I had been investigating for 1 year, and I did all my investigations on my own dime. I bought the plane tickets, everything, and my funds were getting low. And we went up to the casino here at Blackhawk, and it was my wife's dad's birthday, and she went to the bathroom. I just sat down at this machine and I said, God, I could really use some help. Please allow me to hit the grand jackpot. And down to my last spin, betting 80 cents, I won $19,000.
There you go.
It was crazy.
Right, right,
Spirit was, like,
Yeah.
I
right.
felt
So,
it was gonna
right.
happen.
So you can look at that as in, and if not take it too serious, but be appreciative of what happened. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
and I
And
totally appreciated it. I was like, oh
right,
my
right,
gosh.
right. Yeah, and that is a great story. And I've been to the Blackhawk, and because Central City is one of my favorite places to
Yeah,
visit. You know,
ours too.
yeah, yeah. I remember when the casino was not there, because I lived
Yeah.
there. I lived in Aurora back from 95 to 97.
Okay. All right.
So we used to visit up to Central City all the time, and
Mm.
yeah, I love that place.
It,
And that's
it
got
was
some
fun.
great spirits there.
Yeah.
So,
Now,
yeah.
Jay, what was one of your most memorable investigations that you've done, or say readings that you've done?
Oh my gosh. The one I remember, probably the one I remember, I was helping a lady. um she wanted to she was trying to find out if there were loved ones that were still communicating with her. And I actually I gave her a reading, and she actually paid for the reading. But it was basically one of the things that I had gotten messages from these two grandparents, which would have been her great grandparents, came through to me when I was driving to meet her at
Mhm.
this place where I was doing the reading with her. And I'm like, okay, I got you in my head. I know you're there, So when I went there, I I was telling her a little bit about this, and they came through, and the one thing that they said was to look for the old trunk in the attic. And I kept telling her that. And I said, there's some, she's like, I've never met these people. I don't know who they are. I was kind of trying to describe them to my best recollect. And um, she said, I said, there's pictures of them in this old trunk. And she said, okay. So later on, she had told me she called her dad and said, are there pictures of great grandparents in an old trunk in an attic? And
Yeah.
he said, yeah. He said, there's old pictures in this trunk.
Wow.
And I was like,
Oh, jeez.
okay, And
Wow.
so, I mean, that was, probably one of the moments. But I really, from what I can remember, I don't know. It's really weird because there's sometimes that I do readings, like the kid with the elephant. That was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a cool
That's
story.
awesome.
I did a walk, the tour, the ghost tour for Halloween last year, like I did this year with my friend Rita, who's a really good tour guide. And last year she was telling a story about one of the ladies of the lake, and her husband passing away and all this other stuff. And she was telling the story, but she was also had a friend there that was one of the historians of the town
Mhm.
there. So she was trying to clean it up and make it. And I'm like, okay. So when she was done with the story, she was walking away. Then this lady came through, Mary, I think her name was Mary, came through, and she said she did a really good job, but she doesn't need to add or take anything away from the original story.
Yeah.
And so I'm walking with her, and I said, well, here's what I've been told. And she looked at me, she says, what do you mean? And I said, because she was skeptic for medium. She didn't, she was, so I told her exactly what I just told you. And she stopped and she freaked out. And she was like, nobody knows that was on my brain. Nobody.
Wow.
And I'm
That's
like, well,
awesome.
she likes that you do it that way, but keep it the way you do it. You do a good job at it. You don't need to add or take anything away. Don't embellish. Don't do anything. Just make it your own. And she was just, and still, when I talked to her last week when we went to do the walk for Halloween, she mentioned that on the walk. You
Wow.
know, she was like, I was a skeptic, and she said, I'm still kind of a skeptic, but this guy's the real deal.
Wow.
Because I was the
That's awesome.
guest walk with them. So
That's
yeah,
awesome. Right there.
it was cool. So I mean, there's quite a few different moments that I can
Yeah. It's hard
recollect.
to pinpoint.
Yeah, and it's just then my goal to do all this stuff, and it's not so much that I focus on my mediumship, because I'm just a normal guy. I mean, just like me and you and Jonathan. I just happen to interact with the dead a little bit more than normal.
Yeah. Yeah.
you know
Yeah. Yeah.
so
So
Definitely.
what's your future plans? What do you got going on in the future that you can tell our
I
watchers about?
am working on I'm desperately trying to get some funding for I wanted to be able to create a documentary for ghost town investigations, like out west. I want to
Yeah.
be able to um do this, investigate. I want to be able to do interviews with my show. You know, I want to be able to have that kind of platform, but I also want to be able to document the real history of the Old West. You know, I mean, I want to be able to go into the old buildings like in Virginia City, Nevada. You know,
Yeah.
I want to be able to go to the Goldfield Hotel. I want to be able to go up to the many spirits that are there and say, okay, I need to sit down with you and interview you. You know,
or
basically,
like the Washoe in
all of
Nevada.
those, all of that. You know what I mean?
Birdcage
The
Theater, all them
Birdcage in
places.
Tombstone, Arizona. Oh my God, yeah. You know, Big Nose Kate's place. You know, all that stuff. I mean, it's just it fascinates me because there have been times where I used to work in a warehouse and I would get these images every time I would stand in this warehouse. I would get these images of walking through saloon doors and I couldn't figure out why. And then I would think about San Francisco.
Oh yeah.
Every day, no matter where it was, as long as I was in that spot picking orders, that's the thoughts that would come to my mind.
Wow.
And I don't know why. I don't know the whole connection with that, but I did talk to another friend of mine who's a medium, actually. She's my mentor actually, and she said, I think that you were some type of lawman in the Old West.
I was about to say past life. Yeah, I was about to say.
Probably. Yeah.
And I love horses.
Mhm.
I've never ridden on a horse, but I love horses, and I've experienced connection with a horse, or two horses actually, when me and my wife went to go look at some horse riding trails that they had. This it was just beautiful area. It was a Kettle Moraine, and they had these horses where they would take them out to you know, ride and this and that. I walked up to these two horses, and that was still crazy to me as today as it was then. I walked up to these horses, and the first thing I heard from one of the horses was, "What are you doing here?" The other one was dumber than a box of rocks. I'm not kidding. I mean, I was just, I mean, not that when she was dumb, but she was just oblivious to anything. Just to be outside, she was like, "Oh my God," you know, like a wound up dog.
Like a dog. Oh, you're home.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Wow.
Exactly.
Now, so is this something that you could hear also with like other animals as well?
Yeah, yes and no. I kind of don't really partake too much in that. It just happened that way by chance when I was
That's wild.
there.
I would say that definitely that might be a past life for sure.
Yeah, because I really don't. Yeah, but I really don't want to connect with my cats because they're nuts.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I wouldn't want to connect with my
You
cat
know,
either. Yeah.
my cat bitches at me enough. I don't want to physically hear him in my brain screaming at me for something. You know what I mean?
My gosh.
So,
Yeah, you got to
Reminds me of that TikTok video where the horse's mouth
that is
moving
perfect.
And they put the Ted.
Yep.
Oh, you put the stuffing in the wrong place, and I can't
yeah.
right anymore.
Yeah. So that's my goal. That is my goal, to be able to have the funding to be able to, you know, because the reason why I've been asking for this for a little bit, but I really put a little bit more of a emphasis on the Old West, and you know why I do this, because of the fact that I work in a restaurant, or actually a private country club. This private country club, and that's a whole different story. I got so many stories about that. This place is haunted as get out.
Yeah.
So we are going on to our off season, and so I kind of would like to be able to pursue my paranormal side of it, where I could travel and do my documentary and experience all this stuff while I have the time to do that.
Yeah.
Instead of working a 9-to-5 job, working in like a warehouse or an office or something where you have to ask for time. I have time. Now I can do it. I like to cook. I'm a grill chef. I love what I do, you know, and I've been doing that since I was 19, but it was just having the wherewithal to be able to, make one of your projects or dreams become reality is, you know, yeah, that's something that I would like to manifest. You know what I mean? I mean, I,
Yeah.
I would seriously, because that's something that, do I need to? I think I need to do it for my own personal beliefs. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Because of the fact that there's
Yeah.
a reason why I have dreams of the Old West. There's reasons why I just recently had a dream of somebody handing me an old gun that was kind of like an Old West gun.
Old like revolver style, right?
Like
Yeah,
a cold, yeah, the old
yeah,
cold actions.
Yeah.
yeah. And I was like, why am I thinking of that? You know what I mean? So there's been times where I've had, dreams of being in the Old West, and I think I was standing next to. If you know who Michelle LeBaron is,
Sounds
I've
very
heard the
familiar.
name. Yeah.
okay, she's a very good. She lives in Nevada. Okay, she said anytime you want to come to Virginia City, I'll give you a private tour. I'll take you out. And so
Wow.
and so this lady, Michelle LeBaron, is. I've had her on my other show, and she's just great to talk to. Well, there was one time where I had a dream where I was standing next to her, looking down into a dirt street of a saloon, like a top floor of a hotel, and I remember all the walls and the beds,
Yeah.
everything.
You definitely had a past life.
Yeah. So I turned around, and there was this guy that had yeah, hat, kind of like a farmer, like, but a rancher type guy, beat up. He's like, and he looked at me and he says, "Can you help me?" And that was like, and then I kind of woke up. But it's moments like that when I have dreams like that, that they aren't necessarily that you need to do something right now with,
Yeah.
but those dreams happen. And then when the time is right, sometimes those things will happen where it's not necessarily that would be deja vu, probably times 10. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
it would be something where I had a dream about this. I've had dreams like that before where I was somebody else, and there was one time when I was younger and I was in the back seat of a station wagon, and I remember the house, I remember the cars across the street, and I was a screaming kid in the back seat of a station wagon, and I was getting yelled at and this and that, da, 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 and I was like, what the heck? About a year or two later, I was taking my daughter, who was, like 5 or 6 at the time, to IMAX Theater in Nebraska. And I came down this street at the stop sign. To my left, I saw the station wagon. I saw the Camaro that was across the street. I saw the house. And I freaked. And I'm like, what?
Oh,
I mean, that wasn't deja vu. That was just, hey, I was here, but I was
yeah.
somebody
Yeah.
else. You know what I mean?
After projecting yourself without even
Yeah,
knowing.
I was. Yeah, there's been a
That is
couple
funny.
times. There's been a couple times where I've been someone else, and there was once I was actually shot. That was weird.
I've had these dreams, so I know exactly what you're
Yeah,
talking about.
yeah. I was running out of a back of a old farmhouse, and there were, I called them G-men at the time.
Mm.
Around the fence line in this farm, and I come out in my white, wife beater shirt, and I'm running and I'm taking my snub nose and I'm firing at them, and they just drilled me. And all I remember was that there was no pain; it was pressure. And then when I fell down, everything went black, and I woke up.
Yeah,
My
that's
friends,
wild.
my friend Josh sent me a picture of, he was working with another paranormal team, and he was trying to find a place that was, supposedly haunted or something like that. And
Yeah,
he says, hey, he's like, this guy's, was thinking about buying this property in Illinois. He's like, what do you think? And then he sent me the picture, and it was the same house.
no.
It was the same house, same back porch, same fence line, same everything.
Oh
I
my
was
God.
like, you gotta be kidding me.
Wow.
Oh man.
Yeah. I've been dead in the water before. I've been dead in the
Ooh.
water where I drowned, where I was a female, and I was looking up underneath the water to the detective that was standing at the edge of the pool.
Wow.
That was
know,
weird.
this brings a whole nother conversation to the table, but I know that we're coming to the end and we have to let you go so you can go make some dinner. But
Yeah, I
you
gotta
gotta
make
get
some
some
dinner.
hamburger,
I
buddy.
That's right.
I want to have you back on because there's a lot that I want to talk about with past lives and stuff because I do believe in past lives and I believe
Mhm.
that I had one and I know that you definitely had multiple ones that you can
Yeah.
I
remember.
think he's Wyatt Earp.
Yeah,
Right?
right,
Right?
right.
So
I love Wyatt Earp. I actually have a Wild Bill Hickok T-shirt.
oh,
Nice.
that is cool. See?
Yeah.
Well, there you go. But Jay, thank you so much for coming on, man. I truly appreciate you coming on. Please
Yeah,
tell
thank
everyone
you.
before you go though where they could check out your podcast, even though we have it
Okay.
streaming at the bottom, and where they can check you out.
Yeah, you can check me out on Instagram, Studio 6 Productions. You can check me out on Facebook, Studio 6 Productions, or my personal page, Jay Hill, or my Medium page, Jay Hill, Medium Paranormal Investigator. And I'm on with Studio 6 Paranormal or Studio 6 Productions as well. Oh my gosh, I'm everywhere. Twitter, Studio 6 Productions as well. Yeah.
On every platform you
You're
can
everywhere, man.
I am everywhere, and it's trying to like keeping them all in line. Is I'm also on
Thanks,
LinkedIn.
son.
Now I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Linktree as well.
Awesome.
That's Studio 6 Linktree. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's probably about it. That yeah, yeah, that I could think of. And then you could check out Studio 6 Paranormal Podcast with Shane Feek on Sundays, every other Sunday. On Facebook and on YouTube. You can find me on YouTube at Studio Sections as well. I also have Cemetery Files with Kelly
Thanks,
Schaefer.
Bill.
Kelly Schaefer is a really good host, and she's got her own team going to paranormal research, and they just had a really good investigation. So I'm gonna probably blast that out with her. Our show is tomorrow, Monday. It's sitting around the headstones with Kelly Schaefer on Cemetery Files. That is going to be a good show too. So yeah, I'm busy everywhere, man.
That is awesome, man.
Sounds
I'm
like
super
it.
happy for you, dude. So
Right,
happy
right.
for you.
So
Yeah, man,
I do
dinner.
want to say thank you to Parapost and for having the awesomeness that the Parapost network has, because the fact that I don't mention that enough on my own shows. So I want to say thank you to Brian Laverty. So kudos to him, and
Yeah,
kudos
thank
to you, AJ, because you rock.
No, man, please.
And thank you,
please.
Jonathan. You
Brother.
rock.
No, thanks for coming, Jay.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming. Well,
Yeah.
hey, listen, go have a good dinner. I will talk to you definitely soon on the phone, but we'll get you scheduled back on, man, because there's so much more we have
Oh
to
yeah,
do.
I got more stories for you. Oh heck
Awesome,
yeah.
brother. Well,
Yeah.
hey, we'll talk to you
Oh,
soon,
yeah.
man.
All right, man.
All right,
Thanks,
hey,
Jay.
have a good night.
You too. Thanks, brothers.
Oh, man. Oh, sorry, I clicked at the same time as you. There we go.
Back.
Anyway, oh,
That
he's
was Daniel
back. Oh, he's gone.
Discord.
No, he's back. He's gone. No, but anyway, what I wanted to say was that was an absolutely awesome show. I didn't realize I was muted at the end. So I'm glad that you heard what I was saying. But I wanted to say, man, that it's so wild that we started talking about past lives at the end because, when Sam told me about mine, about I was a fisherman on a boat and I died, when a boat crashed or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And when I was younger, I was my grandfather's boat. I loved going on, and then we went through a terrible storm one time. We almost got hit by a ferry, and
Oh,
it
wow.
was the scariest thing ever to be on the ocean during that. So to have Jay say about his past life was very interesting. So I can't wait to have him on again. But what'd you think, man?
Man, he had some great stories, and I can feel like how genuine he is with everything that he does. He does it from the heart, and he's doing it for the right reasons, just like you and me. And and that's what being an investigator or spiritualist is about. You got to believe in yourself and just take criticism, but you got to believe in you in order for all this great stuff to happen. That's what I've learned.
Well, amen to that. Well, guys, make sure to check out Talking with the Source on all podcast listening services, on YouTube, and all social medias now. Thank you so much, Nancy, and everyone else for tuning in. We truly appreciate you.
Thank you.
Always feel free to ask questions in the comments. We'll put them up on the screen and we will get them asked for you. But hey, check us out. We appreciate you, Carrie. Thank you. And check us out on all podcast listening services. So talk to you guys soon. My name is AJ Capasso, host of Talking with the Source. And I'm
Jonathan Keyworth, the JK47 Paranormal. This Tuesday, targeting with the JK. I do live spirit box sessions. It's going to be a good one. So that's at noon Mountain Time.
There you go. So until next time, we are Talking with the Source. Good night.